Christmas 1065. It's a joyous occasion. The nobles of the kingdom have joined their king, a pious man, and he has allowed himself to have a good time. He drinks, he eats, he dances, and he has a feast. He has his whole family with him, and he smiles to his wife, Edith, the sister of the most powerful noble in the room, Harold Godwinson, the Earl of Wessex. The king wonders to himself if he'll ever have an heir with his wife, but he turns back to his wine and sees all is well. For now. Hello and welcome to the channel. I am That One History G, and if you're new here, please consider liking, commenting and subscribing. Most importantly, of course, over the next few weeks we are going to focus on the Norman Conquest of England. We will see the death of kings, the making of men, the making of heroes, and the entire English country fall under the rulership of a tyrant. This is part number 1 of the Norman Conquest of England, so let's get into it. In the introduction to this video, we met a king who was enjoying himself during Christmas. His name, of course, was Edward the Confessor. But 2 weeks after the happy scene of Christmas, on January the 5th, 1066, he died. He was healthy, he was well, perhaps he was a little bit of a boring king, but he didn't cause any troubles for his kingdom, and he even started building Westminster Abbey. So his death was met with questionable curiosity. The thing is, the king, Edward the Confessor, and his wife had, of course, many different duties as monarchs of a country, but their biggest and main duty was to produce an heir to the throne of England, which they failed to do so. This means there is a question over the line of succession. His closest living relative, for example, was a 14-year-old boy who wasn't considered for the throne. So this means that there's going to be a power vacuum for someone to fill when the king died. So when he did die, after perhaps being poisoned, we don't know for sure, the question was, who is going to become the king? Now, the answer to this question was actually answered within the first 24 hours of the king's death. His brother-in-law, his wife Edith's brother, Harold Godwinson, stepped into the limelight and claimed that the old king, Edward, had promised him the throne of England, which pretty much meant he crowned himself immediately. Now, this wasn't an entirely bad thing. Godwinson had been a good ruler over his earldom of Wessex. He was the most powerful man in the country, and he had the most money in the country as well. He was English, and he was even supported by the Witan, which we can think of as an ancient version of Parliament. The big problem was that at that time, monarchs were pretty much autocratic dictators, and they would only really gain the throne through one of two ways. Blood shared, you literally share blood with the ex-monarch. They were your father, your uncle, your grandfather, whatever have you. And then another way, blood shed, battle, conquest, and taking the throne for yourself. One night after Godwinson had made himself king already, there was a comet that went through the English skies, and there was no real science to understand what this was, which meant that many people were superstitious. The English took this as a bad omen. Could it be God telling them that the fact that their king did not have not 1 ounce of royal blood in his veins be a bad thing? Perhaps it was a bad thing, but this is where we need to introduce 2 other people, because the throne of England just became a pageant. We've seen contestant number 1, Harold Godwinson. Now it's time to introduce 2 other contestants. But to do that, we need to understand what England was like before Edward the Confessor. In 796 AD, monks were praying off the coast of the northeast of England at a place called Lindisfarne, the Holy Island. Out of the mist of the sea, figures started to appear in the shapes of dragons on the sea. Bearded men with battle axes made the monks fall to their knees and pray for St. George to save them. This is the start of the Viking Age, the invasion and pretty much the conquering of England. Whilst I'm not going to go too much into the Viking Age and the Viking invasion of England, I will say eventually there was a Viking called Canute, and Canute became King of England. And he wasn't just some passerby that ended up on the throne. No, he was a powerful king, and he even earned himself the Great because he was the King of England, the King of Norway, and the King of Denmark. He had 3 thrones. But by Edward the Confessor, Canut's line was no longer kings of England, nor were any Vikings kings of England by that matter. Enter contestant number 2, a Viking, the King of Norway, who looked back at the days of his youth and over the past 30-odd years and wondered how Scandinavians had lost the throne of England. But he decided he was willing to get it back. I am, of course, talking about Harald Hardrada. And Hardrada is just a title which means hard ruler. Now finally we can introduce the 3rd and final contestant for the English throne. At that time, England and France had bonds together. Their kings and queens were friendly, even so much so that their nobles and royals of the 2 countries often intermarried with each other. In fact, the mother of Edward the Confessor was Emma of Normandy, a French noblewoman, but she is definitely not the only person that we're going to be talking about from the Dukedom of Normandy in our story. There was Robert the Magnificent, the Duke of Normandy, who was Emma's great-grandnephew. But the Duke of Normandy, Robert the Magnificent, was, well, a bit of a playboy. He had a wife, of course, but he had a mistress as well. And this mistress bore him an illegitimate child who was called William the Bastard due to his illegitimacy. Here is a dead giveaway to the end of the story because William became the Duke of Normandy. He succeeded his father. And of course we are talking about the Norman Conquest of England, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. What's even more amazing is the fact that William can trace his lineage back to someone called Rollo, a Viking who was the first ruler of Normandy. So he is also a very distant relative of a Viking, just like Harald Hardrada is. William and the now dead King Edward the Confessor were family, and they got on like a house on fire. They were cousins after all, and he had a really strong claim to the throne. Edward had apparently promised him the throne at his death. He also had the support of a very powerful Catholic Church to back him up. And of course, the church back then was extraordinarily powerful. And this being before Henry VIII, there was only one church in England. And finally, William had claimed that his contestant, Harold Godwinson, had also promised him that he would take an oath to back William up to become the next king of England. But this oath, well, it's questionable at best. The story goes that in 1065, a year before Godwinson had made himself king, he was sailing from England to France, but his fleet was struck by a storm. Fortunately, there was another powerful nobleman who was sailing in that area and managed to save Godwinson from sure death. Unfortunately for Godwinson, this nobleman was William, Duke of Normandy. William took Godwinson ashore, imprisoned him, tore off his clothing, made sure he wasn't fed, and was beaten daily. Eventually, after weeks of wrongful imprisonment, William the Duke of Normandy told Godwinson that he could leave a free man if he were to swear an allegiance to him and support him to become the next English king, when Edward dies, of course. Godwinson swore his allegiance, but as we know, he didn't keep it because the day after Edward the Confessor died, under suspicious circumstances, Godwinson had himself made king. But what did this mean for Edward? Well, the stage is now set for a mighty standoff between 3 candidates. Each candidate had viable claims to the English throne. Each candidate was willing to kill for it. This was the very real Game of Thrones where men would stop at nothing but power and glory, or would death come first? Find out what happens next in part number 2 of the Norman Conquest series. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you want to watch in the future by commenting down below. Like, comment, subscribe, the more you know.